Here we go. Here we go. I think I'm live. I'm pretty sure I'm live. Yay! I don't even know if people are going to be joining, but I hope so. I always love it when people join me. And today I am here to. It's hard for me not to feel like I'm like preaching or telling people how to live their lives, and I'm not. I'm just interpreting some things that I've learned, so I hope that no one ever takes it that way. I'll do it though. I do love to like preach and stuff about all kinds of things. All right, so just give a little time for people to join us here. I'm talking about the new moon tomorrow, and we will be at Brennan's. I say we, lots of people will be there. Me with Ecstatic Astrology, and Lindsay Paris, Empowered Vibe Tribe is her Facebook page, and many, many other people. Amanda Perry will be there. And all of the names escape me right now. But the point of tomorrow is to offer your gifts to the community and to set intentions for the community. It's a very powerful new moon, and that's what the topic is for this live video. So let me go ahead and come by Brennan's tomorrow down in Birmingham, Alabama, 5 Points South. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue with wonderful food, wonderful drinks, and they're just really cool at Brennan's, and I love them. And we'll be there from 2 to 7. It's a come in, stay as long as you want, leave when you want, very open. We'll have a board for posting community intentions. We'll have a lot of different cool things going on, so I'm really excited about that. So let me just bring up the chart here because I would like to talk about this new moon. And I like to show everyone the chart and draw on the chart and play with the chart because it's really fun and it looks really confusing, but it's really not. It's all about harmonies and harmonics, which, go figure, a musician would be into astrology. It really does. It matches up very well with music. So that's really cool. All that you're seeing here is how planets harmonize, and you might hear people refer to them as energies. And I mean, there's all sorts of names for what we're talking about here. There is no dogma in astrology. You can be any religion you want and still follow it. You can believe whatever you want and still look at it and gain perspective. And it's the turning of the clock. And so that's what I've been learning for the last several years, probably 6 years now. And I dive deep into it, into the archetypes and the meanings and what they mean to me and how they can help other people. And I do astrology readings daily, so please get at me if you would like to know about how this is affecting your own chart. And if you know a little bit, that's great, because then you can apply this to your own life. And if you've never looked up your birth chart, you can get it for free on astro.com. It's really easy. All right, so now that I've done my opening spiel, let's talk about the really cool stuff. So this new moon is in the sign of Cancer. There's been a lot of Cancer going on. Let me get my drawing stuff out. What is going to be the best thing to draw with? Probably this. Okay, so here's the new moon right here. Woo! That's Cancer. Cancer is, when we're talking about a new moon, we're talking about a new cycle. We're setting intentions for the next 6 months. At least that's how I do it. Some people do it for new moon, full moon in a month. I think 6 months makes more sense. So we're saying new moon in Cancer to full moon in Cancer, which will happen in January, 6 months from now. And of course, when we're talking about new moon, that's the sun and the moon coming together. You don't see the moon. And then 6 months later, the sun will be in Capricorn over here, and the moon will be in Cancer again. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So new intentions, new cycle, and it's very, very potent for this specific new moon for several reasons. So let's go ahead and talk about some keywords in Cancer. And I'm sure you're all very well aware, because for the last month, Mars has been in Cancer. We've had Mercury in Cancer. So all of these themes have been very active. The sun's in Cancer. Lots of themes surrounding our feelings, our issues with our inner security, issues and needs there. We're talking about nurturing. We're talking about the divine feminine, the moon, mothering. These are all Cancer words. When I think of Cancer, I think of what it feels like to be hugged. You know, like that's the highest vibe of Cancer. It's just a very nurturing, it's home. Home is another big deal here. Family is going to be another key word. So this is where we're setting intentions, and this is also where Mars has been. And so the fact that Mars was there for quite a while, and Mercury, Mars is our ego, but our will to action. It's what makes us passionate. It's what gives us the will to live and to take care of ourselves. So we've been pretty emotional because it's like a boiling water. Cancer is cardinal water. So with Mars there, which is a fire planet, it's just kind of been like, woo, buddy. Lots of drama. It could even be internal drama. But a lot of feelings coming to the surface that maybe we weren't all the way aware of, or maybe that we've suppressed a bit. That's been a big Mars and Cancer theme. And so thankfully today, and I say thankfully, but I don't know, Mars moves into Leo. We have Mercury in Leo, then Mars moves into Leo. Leo's the inner child and creativity, and but Leo needs attention. So it's not too far away from Cancer, you know, like Leo needs that attention. So just because Mars is moving into Leo doesn't necessarily mean we won't have neediness still being a theme. Neediness is a theme in Cancer. That's why it's inner security. So thankfully though, Mars will be moving into Leo later today, and it might relieve a little bit of that just depth of feeling, but probably not too much. I mean, not with the new moon there, and Venus will be moving shortly into Cancer. So it's like Cancer party time. I need all of this and I want all of this and I need my home to feel comfortable and I need my relationships to feel comfortable. And this is okay to feel this way. I feel like I need to cry. I feel like I need to cuss people out. I feel like I need. So that's where the new moon is going to happen. We're going to set intentions around all of this. So what intentions would you set? Well, I mean, ideally, you want to give as much as you take, and you want to make sure you're not giving more than you take. You want to make sure that your needs are taken care of and that you are also honoring others' needs. That's just a general intention. It's going to be more specific to you depending on where it happens in your chart and what you're going through in your life. If you're having problems with your mother, well, that's a very Cancer theme. If you're having problems in your relationship and not getting what you desire and what your inner security needs, that's a very Cancer theme. If you're having trouble with expressing how you feel, that's a Cancer theme. That's a Mercury in Cancer theme, but it's Cancer, like feelings and honoring, taking care of ourselves, man, and taking care of the community. And that's a delicate balance, You can really burn yourself out if you're giving too much. Whoo, you can really burn yourself out. That just nearly brought tears to my eyes, because it's especially if you're a Cancerian person who wants everyone to feel good and wants to take care of people, you really need to turn this energy inward and take care of yourself, So that's just a quick little explanation of the new moon in Cancer, but I'm going to start to talk about the bigger picture of this new moon in Cancer, which is how do I approach this? So coming up, and I've been talking about this over and over, coming up in January, we have something that's happening that's a very long cycle. It hasn't happened for quite a while, and that's Saturn and Pluto, two outer planets, are coming together in Capricorn. The last time that happened was in the 1500s, and it had reverberations throughout. So that's the thing about these outer planet conjunctions. You may not see something happen at the very moment that these things conjunct, but it's more of a wider breadth that we're talking about. So this is a conjunction that's going to reverberate for years and years. So that's why the intentions we set at this Cancer new moon are so important, because when the full moon comes around in Cancer is going to be almost at the exact moment that Saturn and Pluto conjunct in January. Okay, so as you can see, I believe in intentions, and I believe that being very focused and set on what they are will help to bring it into reality. I think that what is this? This is a game that we're playing. We came in, we were born. We didn't ask to be born, at least that we know of, right? Maybe in some other place we did. We were born, and now we're here, and now we're playing this game. And some people play it differently. Okay, that's fine. My little girl is telling me one of the cats had a hairball. Okay, I told her I didn't need to know that. I don't need to know that. I'll clean it up, right? Whoo! So, what was I saying? I don't even remember what I was saying. That's okay. That's okay. We're in Mercury's retrograde shadow. Let me just get back on track here and say that Saturn represents our foundations, and Pluto is how we transform, and it's life and death and rebirth, right? So when these two things come together, we're transforming our foundations, our boundaries, our rules. Those are general things, right? But the more specific things that you might hear are government, because Saturn rules government and laws, rules. Bones, Saturn rules bones. And it just really speaks to a very large flip of what we've been doing as far as like our foundations go and the rules we've had for ourselves. And so wherever this Pluto and Saturn conjunction is happening in your chart is going to be a major shift, right? Especially like for me, it's on my descendant. And that's like, it deals with my health and my relationships. So the higher vibe of this Saturn Pluto conjunction for people will be like stepping into power, like, these rules have not been working for me in my life. And so I'm setting these new rules because I am a powerful individual and I know how to make my life work. And that's the higher vibe. The lower vibe is not doing any of that. And it all comes crashing down around you. So that's why astrology is helpful. You stay on track with these cycles and you learn to pay attention. And what we have here is the reason we're doing the new moon intention. Okay, so Saturn-Pluto conjunction, January 2020. It's building up right now. 2019 is pretty much a building up to January of 2020 and beyond. Like I said, these are ripples that are going to happen. And the ripples are already happening, really. It's funny because the conjunction hasn't even been exact, but you can see it on the world stage. Government issues are a big deal right now. I mean, even just what happened in Hong Kong today and so also the new moon tomorrow is a solar eclipse and you can't see it in America, but a solar eclipse is even more potent because it's like a reset button from God, spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, boom, Hong Kong, we have protests. So tomorrow when the new moon happens and we set intentions, we're going to think of how we connect with our inner security and what we need in our life, how we nurture ourselves, how we nurture other people, what our home is to us. What does home mean to you? It means so many things to so many people, right? It could be a place, it could be a hobby, it could be people. That could be what home is to you. So making sure that this area of our lives is whole and that we're honoring our deepest feelings, that we're working through issues that we've had since childhood, like those are big deals. I have been in it, deep in those feelings in the last, since Mars has been in Cancer pretty much, just like working through stuff that has been maybe not even realized until now that this has been an issue I've had since I was a kid. Like someone said something to me and it planted a seed in my head that I've carried with me for 35 years now, and when the full moon happens during this Saturn-Pluto conjunction in January, it's going to be something that we look back on and we go, now I see what the last 6 months has been about, and I'm going to carry this forward. I've worked through this, or at least I've tried, I've paid attention to it. I'm changing these rules for myself. I'm taking care of my inner world so that the outer world, which is what Capricorn represents, it's the outer security. It's government. It is the walls of our house, These two things exist on an axis for a reason. They are related to one another. I've seen many, many quotes, I think, in the last month or two about taking care of yourself to take care of other people, and it's just funny that it's been coming up in Cancer season, but it's the truth. If we don't honor these things, if we don't honor our feelings, then the whole world's going to be messed up. So if we don't individually take care of ourselves, then we're all individually messed up together. That's not what we want, So this is a call to really examine yourself. You know, a lot of people keep looking at things going on outside of themselves and how messed up it is, and it is. So then what's the solution? Bring it in. Bring it into your home. Bring it into your family. Bring the healing in. And I'm sorry, I had to talk to my child. And that's my dryer buzzing. Okay, so now that we've spoken about all this Cancer stuff, I'm going to start talking about Mercury retrograde, because that's coming up July 8th. And it's not necessarily connected to this new moon by aspect really or anything, but Mercury retrogrades back into Cancer. So I just found this amazing and wild. During the new moon, Uranus will be square to Mars and Mercury. Now, Uranus is the great game changer. It is lightning. It is revolution. And so to have it square to Mars and Mercury and Leo is like bringing new awareness to something. I mean, especially when you're talking about Leo, you're talking about your heart chakra, you know, which is actually, that's really great. Why is that great? Because if we're talking about our inner world, we need to know what our inner child needs, you know? So Uranus and Taurus is changing our values and what we value. Square to Mars and Mercury and Leo is, are your values the same? Like, are you really taking care of that creative inner child in yourself? You know, are you really, and Leo is across from Aquarius, which is the community. It's like, are you giving your creativity to the community? Are you honoring your creativity enough to give to the community? Like, are you working on it? Are you valuing that part of your life? What do you do for creativity? Some people's jobs are creation, you know, they're artists and musicians. Some people go work at a corporate 9-to-5. How do you bring creativity into that? That's important. You can, you know, and so honoring that part of yourself is going to be, well, it's going to be important for the new moon, but also it's always important. So the cool thing about the Mercury retrograde is that it starts here. Let's fast forward. Let's look at Mercury retrograde. The thing that happens first before, I need a day, not an hour. Venus moves into Cancer. That's July 3rd. So Venus, I'm trying to relate this back to Uranus and Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. So the fact that our values are changing, we're looking at Venus, right? And she's going to be in Cancer, bringing a sense of justice to all this inner turmoil we've had lately, you know, like all of the feelings that have surfaced. You know, this is a little healing. Venus is also divine feminine. But the cool thing I thought about this whole Mercury retrograde, which starts July 8th, is that Venus will be in Cancer for the entire Mercury retrograde. In fact, there's not much, Venus won't be in Cancer, but for a few days without Mercury retrograde. So what this says to me is, number one, turn your thoughts inward. That's always Mercury retrograde. It's a reevaluation. You're rethinking stuff. And I always tell people not to be afraid of Mercury retrograde, because things don't break down with Mercury retrograde unless you're not honoring it. So if you're not slowing down and rethinking or reevaluating, or just really turning your thoughts inward, maybe stopping that circular thought process, if you're not actively doing that, then things do break down. Your car breaks down, and then you're forced to think about some of the things going on in your life, you know? So don't be afraid of Mercury retrograde. Honor it. write in your journals. If that's not your thing, do other things, you know. If you meditate every day, you know, and that's a great practice anyway, every single day. But it's especially good during Mercury retrograde. Looking at your thoughts on paper, you know, voice memo, talk about how you feel. Okay, so it starts off conjunct Mars. Mars is a planet that it's just fiery, you know, it causes upheaval sometimes, and it can be very valuable to have Mars in certain places at certain times, and it can also be kind of like, ugh, you know. So the fact that Mercury retrograde starts off with Mars and Leo is interesting to me, especially because she's going to retrograde back and touch Venus, you know. So we're talking about the masculine and feminine here. Mercury's just kind of in between it during this Mercury retrograde. And in Cancer, you know, it's bringing us back into our feels. Our thoughts are going to be very much on the last probably couple of months. It's going to be opposite the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. Let's just go on a journey. She moves back into Cancer on July 18th, 19th. So she starts Mercury retrograde July 8th. You got 10 days of Mercury retrograde in Leo. Focusing on your heart, your creativity, your inner child, romance, you know. Of course, that's going to, when it goes back into Cancer, those themes kind of meld into each other, you know. Then it's your inner security again. All of a sudden, we're like, have I really dealt with this stuff? Have I really dealt with my feelings? Have I really, in an inappropriate way, you know, in the appropriate manner? Have I told who I need to tell? Have I really worked on healing this, you know, I hate to use the word issues over and over again, but issues are a Cancerian theme. You know, we bring issues in from childhood. We bring issues in when we talk about our security. So Mercury retrograde is going to be heavily, heavily influenced by the moon, the Cancer energy, the feelings, you know. Hey, Lindsay. I'm doing a live video. Can I call you back? Okay, bye. I had to answer because I was like, sometimes if you don't know you're live and then you're like, someone's trying to tell you your microphone's off. So I thought, maybe let me just answer that just in case someone's trying to tell me something ain't right. Because I'm not looking at comments or anything, FYI, on Facebook. I'm just looking at the chart. Okay, so Mercury in Cancer, that's also the feminine. The feminine is going to be a huge deal with this Mercury retrograde. It's going to be a good time to be with other women. If you're a woman, just be in the feminine principle. If you're already very connected to the feminine principle, male or female, whatever you call yourself, whatever you identify as, this is heavy energy. So being in a feminine circle for Mercury retrograde will very much be appropriate. Share. Mercury, sharing. You know, that's how you heal, reflecting off one another. Venus will be there. Venus is beautiful, and it is community. It's Libra, you know, it's love. So I'm not so like worried about this Mercury retrograde. I think it's just going to be heavy processing, you know, and that's okay. Do not, it's going to be, you know, over summer festivities, you know, so I can imagine people are going to be having a beer the 4th of July talking about how they feel, you know, like this is not going to surprise me if people who don't normally seem affected by feelings to be sharing them, to be in their feelings, to, you know, so I just really love that. And I think another thing that's really cool is that during the, by the way, Mercury turns direct on, before I go any further, turns direct on July 31st. And what's so interesting about that is that's the next new moon. So it's from new moon to new moon that Mercury is retrograde. So this month is just going to be very, it almost seems otherworldly a little bit. You know, the way that these things happen and the turning of the tides and the shift of the clock, it just seems like, wow, I can just see it happen. And in fact, this might help you. It helped me today. I was feeling a little despondent and a little bit confused about what I should say during the video, and I wanted to just share with people. And I had to tell myself that this feeling won't last. And that, I think, is going to be a very good mantra. I mean, and I think that that's even an interesting idea to play with when you're having a good feelings. It's like, enjoy it more, you know, process it, because this feeling won't last. The good feelings, they don't ever last for a long time, and neither do the bad feelings. The bad feelings come and go, and that is so important to remember. They don't last. So if you're feeling heavy, you know, at any point in the day, you know, and you just can't get out of it and you're feeling despondent, it won't last. It never does. So reassure yourself, remind yourself, you know, and then when you're having a good time, remind yourself it's not always like that. So really be in it, really enjoy it, really connect with your environment, connect with your people. You know, we're going to go into Leo season after Mercury turns direct, and Leo Aquarius axis is all about me and then the community and my heart and having fun and how I do that with friends, you know. So this is where we're at. But I also thought, let me bring up the full moon in January, that it was very cool that Mercury will be in Capricorn during the full moon. So it's going to be completely opposite of where it is during this new moon. And it just is amazing. I mean, Mercury stays close to the sun anyway, but I just feel like it's going to be very, very important for us to be mindful tomorrow of what we say, what we do, what we think, especially what we think, and what we feel, and where that is in comparison to where you want to be. Do you have an old thing hanging around that you want to heal? Then make that your intention. Do you have an area of your life that needs nurturing? Make that your intention, you know? And then for all of Mercury retrograde, write about it, think about it, pay attention to it so that it doesn't bring breakdown in your life that makes you pay attention to it. You know, we have Uranus starting off this new moon square to Mercury. So in my experience, when you don't actually put in the work, which is a very Saturnian thing, you know, Cancer, Capricorn themes here. When you don't put in the work to do the healing, to get that inner security, to make it for yourself, or to tell someone else what you need from them, you don't put in the work, then things come crashing down and force you to have to even do more work, you know? So face things head on, your feelings, your emotions, even if they suck, even if they're hard, face them. You know, even if you just can't stand it one more minute for, you know, this relationship to be this certain way, you know, face it, but you really don't want to confront a person. You're going to have to, otherwise you're going to be forced to. So I'm just saying, work with it, face it head on, do everything with love. That's a very Leo thing, and Mars will be in Leo. Mercury will start off in Leo and then retrograde back into Cancer. So this is all meant to be done with love and compassion. And, you know, if you're involved in, I'm thinking of all the different areas this could happen. If it's happening in your first house, that's your identity. So if people aren't calling you what you want them to call you, or if people aren't acknowledging who you are as a human, then you demand it. If it's happening in your second house and your finances aren't doing well, or you've decided you no longer value this stuff, then that's what your intentions are. The third house is communication and your neighborhood. Fourth house is home and inner security. Fifth house is your inner child and creativity, if that's where the new moon's happening, and romance. And then the sixth house is health. So if Cancer's on your sixth house, make sure you're taking care of your body. Make sure you are demanding what you need from your job. It's about your vocation. If it's happening in your seventh house, if that's where Cancer is, that's relating to others. And you better be either not giving too much and not taking too much, making sure there's balance there. If it's happening in your eighth house, well, that's going to be nurturing your contractual obligations and your marriage. That could be nurturing your ideas around what's taboo, that it's secrets, making sure that that's an area of your life you're nurturing. The ninth house is your search for truth and expansion and higher learning. If it's happening in your 10th house, that's career and your public status and your rules for yourself. The 11th house is higher organizations and friends and community. So if you're not getting what you need from the community, find a different one, nurture that. The 12th house is your I would say your subconscious. It's mental health. Make sure you're nurturing that. It's also your dreams and your connection with spirit. So as you can see, if Cancer is in whichever of these houses, that's where this is going to pop up. And also the opposite house, because that's where Saturn and Pluto will be. So that was just a quick rundown. And I'm trying to see if I have anything else that I want to share. Let's look back at the new moon. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. We still have the Jupiter, Neptune square going on. That's your beliefs versus faith and spirit, and what you've always believed, maybe being challenged. And that's still active. It's going to be separating here soon. By the way, Jupiter turns back direct in August, and I'm liking that because right now we have lots of retrogrades. I don't know about all this, like, ooh, we have so many planets retrograde. Yes, we do. Retrograde just is the words, reevaluate, redefine, redo. Retrogrades are not bad. They're just different. It's more magnified. Neptune retrograde has been difficult for me, but that's because of where it is in my chart and what's going on, and sometimes Neptune retrograde isn't difficult for people, Depends on your chart. You may have a planet retrograde in your chart, and then in that case, sometimes retrograde's just like, woo, I understand it, So I don't buy into all the everything's retrograde hype. Be careful. Be afraid. It doesn't matter. It's just a calendar. It's just a cycle. It's just showing you what's on the deck for today. Okay. I hope any of this made sense. I really hope to see you at the new moon celebration. That's who called me, was Lindsay Paris. She's probably calling to check in on that. And that's great. That's why I answered her call, because I didn't know if she was trying to tell me something. That's going to be so much fun. And it's really meant to be an offering. I'm going to be there with my software telling you where this is happening in your chart and helping you tweak your intentions. There is no charge. We're doing this as an offering to the community to honor the bigger picture here, especially when it comes to we're in Alabama. We need to set some intentions for our state government. Man, that's why I really wanted it to be like an offering thing. Like, let's bring all of this goodwill to this state, which has a lot of issues. We have a lot of issues. There's a lot of divisiveness. You find people, this is a very Jupiter square Neptune thing. You find people very digging in hard into their beliefs, not realizing that there's a much bigger picture. You know, many people believe different things, and we should honor that about each other. You know, it's such a personal thing, and to have that being such a divisive thing here in our state, you know, I just really wish it wasn't like that. I understand where everyone's coming from, you know, especially when you're raised a certain way, or, you know, a lot of people raised away rebelling against it and then having bad judgments against this specific thing, where we need to understand each other and work together no matter our race, color, or creed. You know, I think it's race or creed. There's like a saying, creed, color, all of that. How we identify, doesn't matter. We live on this planet together, and fighting is not the way out. Legislating people into oppression is not the way, you know, like, so let's set some big intentions for this new moon. That's what I really want, personally. And, you know, it's my story. Thank you for letting me into your brain, because you're living your story and you're watching me right now. And that's really like giving me a piece of your brain and thoughts. And I really appreciate it. And I hope that it makes any sense. And sorry for any of the interruptions. But I'm going to log off now. I'm drinking my Scorpio coffee. Ugh. Love yourself and love others. That's my only intention for even why I'm doing astrology. It's been a really neat tool. I've seen so many people just get out of ruts just because they have a different way of thinking about it. You know, you're looking at archetypes and stuff. So I'm really, really grateful for finding this awesome thing. You can hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or email. I'm under Ecstatic Astrology just about everywhere, even on Twitter. I'm really bad about getting all this business stuff started as far as like promoting myself. So please feel free to share any of it, because I need the help, Lord knows. And I look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow, and leave comments and I'll respond. And I love y'all so much. All right. Have a good day.